Good morning. This is the first Saturday of Lent, the first Saturday after Ash Wednesday. I pray that you are well and journeying with me on the road to the cross, to the great 3 days of Jesus' death and resurrection. I'm very thankful that you've joined me here at Trinity Lutheran Church. We're part of the ELCA. We are going to continue reading from our Lenten devotional book, Because Grace. And I pray that you are able to journal about what we're talking about. And if you're not, maybe just thinking about it helps you. So here is our reading for today. It starts with the Bible. Acts 7:35 through 42. And I'm reading from the Amplified Bible. It was this very Moses whom they had denied, disowned, and rejected, saying, "Who made you our ruler, our referee and judge?" Whom God sent to be a ruler and deliverer and redeemer, by and with the protecting and helping hand of the angel that appeared to him in the bramble bush. It was who led them forth, having worked wonders and signs in Egypt and at the Red Sea, and during the 40 years in the wilderness, the desert. It was this very Moses who said to the children of Israel, "God will raise up for you a prophet with a capital P from among your brethren, as he raised me up." This is he who in the assembly in the wilderness, the desert, was the go-between for the angel with the capital A. The angel who spoke to him on Mount Sinai and our forefathers, and he received living oracles, words that still live, to be handed down to us. And yet our forefathers determined not to be subject to him, refusing to listen to or obey him, but thrusting him aside, they rejected him, and in their hearts yearned for and turned back to Egypt. And they said to Aaron, "Make us gods who shall be our leaders and go before us. As for this Moses who led us forth from the land of Egypt, we have no knowledge of what has happened to him." He was up on the mount. And they even made a calf in those days and offered sacrifice to the idol and made merry and exulted in the work of their own hands. But God turned away from them and delivered them up to worship and serve the stars of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets. "Did you really offer to me slain beasts and sacrifices for 40 years in the wilderness, O house of Israel?" The answer to that is no, they did not. Now we will read from Pastor John Stevens' book. It is hard to be dependent on God. This is the story of humanity, and it is the story that informs our Lenten journey. We need God, and yet we fight it every step of the way. We are reminded in Acts about how Moses was called by God to lead God's people, yet we read the words, "This was the same Moses that was rejected." God chose Moses, and the people rejected him. In that rejection, it was less about rejecting Moses and more about the people rejecting God. I know that feeling. I know the feeling of crossing my arms and saying, "You're not the boss of me." Nobody else has ever done that. I know the feeling of being told good words and better advice, only to push them off to the side like a plate of sweet potatoes or kale. And he has an asterisk here. It says, "No sweet potatoes or kale were harmed" in writing this. Have you rejected the God who wants to know you so well? Have you? This is the day to turn back. Turn back to the God who made you and loves you. Have you dug your feet into the ground and said no to the God that says yes to you? Listen for the voice of God who is leading you in and through grace, lifting lifting you up and holding you. Those are such comforting words. God lifts you up through grace. God holds you in those strong, everlasting arms. Lent is about turning and changing. Let us read the prayer poem, the haiku prayer poem that John has written. Dependence on God is something I fight against. Help me lean on you. Help me lean on you. I need to give up all but dependence on grace. Dependence on grace is what helps me stand up strong. You lift me up, God. What? I love his talent in writing these beautiful prayer poems that sum up the whole lesson. Dependence on God. Let us depend on the God who loves us so much. Let us depend on him alone. Thanks be to God.